And if you pay attention to the visual and to the sound, you're probably not going to notice that there was a cut there. Same thing here. What is the thing that actually makes it is the sound. And I'm going to show it to you guys by isolating the tracks.
Time.
So when I isolate the tracks, I can actually hear that her steps never stopped.
We don't have time. Dad, come. We don't have time.
I muted, sorry.
Come. We don't have time.
Okay, so now that you guys, no, it's not required. You can literally do this with CapCut. So you guys see here that I have two sound tracks, right? So from the soundtrack alone, you don't hear that it's two different takes.
This is the portal, Dad. Come. We don't have time.
Why? Because the stepping sound carried over. We can still hear the same stepping sound. So there was no pattern interruption. If there's no pattern interruption, your brain shuts off any kind of perception of uh, interruption. If the sound is there, your brain is not gonna notice, and then that is what leads the transition. Actually, there's not two here. There's three different takes because this one, what you guys are seeing here, is this pink one right here. So it goes from the blue to pink to blue again, and those two blues, they're different ones.
Portal, Dad. Come. We don't have time.
This one, I completely ignored the pink one. I completely ignored the audio from that one. I just used the visual part of it. And I took advantage of making sense with the context. So you imagine that she's talking to him, but she's not actually talking to him.
Come. We don't have time.
How do you pick your shots? Is there a sequence pattern that is your go-to? Um, I love starting with close-up shots because I think that close-up shots and detail shots are very powerful. And I also love the very wide, very, very wide to begin with. I never like to begin anything on a uh mid body shot or medium close-up shot because I don't think and feel that those are as impactful. This is an example of a medium close-up shot. Okay. This is an example of a full shot or a full body shot. What is an impactful shot? This is an impactful shot to me to begin a sequence with. Intimate. Or if not, you go for scale. What is scale? Grandiose. A moment of wow, which shows the entire place. So I like to play with those. So as you can see here, it goes from intimate and then scale. This is scale. Why? Because it shows how crazy, how wonderful this world is, which is playing with those two shots. So I either like to do a drone shot in the beginning or a close up of somebody's mouth, of somebody's face to really show that. And that's also how I approached here. As you guys can see, this is a wide shot, a drone shot that I did. Impactful, beautiful location, romantic. You can already see the tone of the visuals. And then you go into a close up shot of his hands, and you just see You see how you see only the eyes. So that is how I like to begin a sequence or a scene. And then I build up, and then you start hearing the voices, you start hearing the dialogues, and then when you actually see people talking, that is a much more natural way to guide your audience to actually having people. Then you see people talking. You see how I guided the visual there to then lead up to somebody talking. I don't just put people talking on my videos like a straight talking. I don't like that because I didn't warm you up for that. I didn't lead your attention for that. Luis, does that answer your question? Is there anything else you wanted to? And then from there, you can take it anywhere. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily begin like that, but this is an example of how I like to use it. But obviously, there's many ways to go about it. There's never a right or wrong. If you're looking for that impactful, having a whoa, it's on your face, you want a dialogue right away, then go for it because that's the feeling that you're going for. Um, but you have to think of editing more like waves, waves of attention than than a perfectly even attention type of thing. What do I mean by that? When I started editing, I used to think that I have to have my sound in my scenes always perfectly balanced throughout the visual. So for example, I thought that if I had somebody speaking at a certain volume, I had to maintain that volume throughout the because that's consistency, right? Uh, and who here agrees with that? That you have to maintain that like standard type of volume and standard type of pitch what as you're you watch something, who who here or maybe you don't even pay attention to that, but when you're editing something that's not even conscious, you're looking for that always that middle ground so one scene is not overpowering the other. But what I've learned over the years and how directors actually do it in movies, and it's you have to look for the moments of silence, and that goes for everything in art, period. You have to look for the moments of silence. You have to look for the moments of ecstasy in the build up. So that is what a visual, what a story is about. As you guys can see here, this story begins very quiet, very,
Time? What's time?
and I don't mean quiet. I don't mean quiet in volume. I mean quiet as in an intimate moment, right? It starts very reserved, almost timid in a sense. And then the visual starts to guide you through a constant pace, which is a pace of a father taking care of the daughter. And you have this constant pace that slowly builds up to a cinematic moment, to a moment of ecstasy, right? Which we see all of this happening, and then it's sad and it's funny and it's building up to the scenes. And as we go into the story, it becomes more interesting because at first you see a dad, he's just concerned with the daughter, but the daughter is fine. We see them having problems with, dad and the daughter as a teenager, and everything's progressing as usual. And then you start to see more and more unusual elements as it goes throughout the story. What does that mean? That means that you're building up something that is about to come. How do you do that? Through the images, through the different sounds, through the transitions. So I'm very intentional about how I want to do these transitions from scene to scene, so you feel like the attention is being guided, but also you have a hint of what's going to happen. So for example, here, it's
Dinner at the
not
dorm
so.
food is as bad as everyone says.
I'll hold you to that. I'm keeping count. Someone has to.
And he just stood there completely.
Okay, that transition is being timed. You see the progression, you see the characters. So here you can tell that it's not necessarily leading up to something fun, to something that you don't see like a, um, a very positive expression in his eyes. So that's how, with editing and with thinking of transitions, and because especially with the tools that we have now, it's becoming easier and easier to put together a 30-second scene, to put together something that's even a minute. But then consistency has layers to it. It's not just about the character consistency, it's not just about the location, the you're talking about also sound consistency. You're also talking about um um feeling. Is the feel throughout the movie, is it consistent? So those are things that you have to look for beyond what we talk about in AI, which is character consistency and spatial consistency. Okay. Uh, so solution number one, sound. Number two, being intentional about transitions. It's very, very important. And then putting together everything in peaks, right? You want to start with something. If you're starting slow, you have to build up to something that feels like an ecstasy, and you don't want to sustain that ecstasy to such a long time that you get your audience tired of it. You always want to feel, leave them with a little bit of a I want to come back to this. I want to come back and watch more of it. I didn't get enough of what I wanted. And if you see the greatest directors, they never leave you with a completely satisfaction, like complete satisfaction when you watch something. That's why the most popular things that we watch, what are people always saying? I need another season. That wasn't enough. I need another movie. When is the sequel? When is, you know what I mean? Because they never leave you with, they never let you have that 100% satisfaction, because that's not the goal. The goal is always having that peace, um, of like, I wanted to watch more of it. Why? Not only for the sake of having a sequel or having more of it, but for the sake of you going back home after a movie theater session, or for the sake of you watching something and thinking, and thinking about that movie or that TV show for the rest of the week. And how do you do that? How do you impact someone so much that they will think of that visual? Well, because you didn't make them 100% satisfied. When something 100% satisfies you, you're good. You don't have to think about it anymore, because it was complete. So you always want to leave that 10% of just what if, you know? So those are the things I want you to open your minds to start thinking about when it comes to visuals, when it comes to editing, when it comes to directing. Because now we're not talking as editors here. Here we're talking like directors. You're directing. What and why is it called directing? Because you are directing attention. You're directing the viewer. That's the job of a director, is to direct the viewer. uh um uh I cannot remember his name. Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan. Who here knows who Christopher Nolan is? Anybody knows who Christopher Nolan is? Okay. um, I just watched a interview of him saying that his job as a director is to be on set so he can forget that he's on set and he can pretend that he's the audience and that he's watching the movie. Why? Because as a director, he is directing the audience attention, feelings, sensations, thoughts. So that is your job as a director. How and you have to really sit back and watch it and forget that you're working on it and have that feel. That's when you get to really be in touch with your piece and guide the audience's attention. Pay attention to the sounds. Pay attention to the length that a scene stays on the screen, and that's how you got attention. If you watched, if you were here in the beginning and you watched, probably just like me, you feel like the story of the dad and the girl was a good 60 to 70% of the visual, right? Who here had that same feeling that her growing up, us seeing her growing up was like a good chunk, at least 50% of it. Who here can agree with that? We can demonstrate the journey of different shots.
What is the question again?
Uh, what if you watched, if you were here from the beginning and you watched, who felt that these shots right here with the girl as she's growing up was a good 50% of it? Anybody also had that feeling, or did you guys? Sorry, Rafa, but can you demonstrate the journey of different shots and how you extract the sound of the shot of the timeline? I don't see when I add the shot to the timeline. Sure. So, what is the point with my question? If you're watching it, really, as she's growing up, that's a very small part of the film. It's really just this right here, this chunk right here, that's highlighted. So, I want to say it's about like 30% of the film is us watching her grow up. The rest of it is really more of that part. Most of the film, it really stays within this other world and him as an older man. But you're probably gonna think that it's the other way around. Why? Because in the beginning I guided the attention to kind of feel like, because there's less music, because there's more sound, the time passes almost slower. But when you have the ecstasy feeling of the song, that part is actually much longer, but it doesn't feel like it's as long because you have more emotion, you have the ecstasy feeling of it, you have the sound. Okay, so let's demonstrate how to put together, demonstrate the journey of different shots, and also how to extract the sound of the shot into the timeline. Okay, um, so first things first, what you want to do is, once you have your shot in your project, like we have here, you drag it down to the timeline, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to fit to frame so it fills up the screen. And here is my sound. Gonna press S so it isolates the track.
My girl, you are here. What is this place?
Hey, Dad.
Okay. So how do I extract the sound now? Well, you can just move it around and just delete if you want to.
Girl, you are here.
Now you only have the sound. How do I use how do I stitch together different takes? So let's say this is one and this is two. On the timeline, instead of just putting one beside the other, so
We
as
don't
you
have
guys can see,
time.
that's also fit to frame, so it fills up the screen.
The portal, Dad. Come. We don't have time.
Look how awkward that is. Look how long that stayed. So what I'll do here is, because these two shots are very similar, this is the ending shot of this one, and this is the beginning shot of the next one. Because those two shots are too similar, what I'll do is I'll come to this close-up shot of her that is a different shot, and I will erase, but I will keep this sound right here. And then here, same thing, I'm gonna cut it a little bit, and then I'm gonna bring this one back. Why? Because when I have sounds from different takes overlapping each other, you create a seamless transition. Now look how this transition goes.
This is the portal, Dad. Come. We don't have time.
Okay, not perfect yet. So what can I do when I have too many converging sounds? I do a fade. So let's try that one more time.
This is the portal, Dad. Come. We don't have time.
And a little bit less, so we can get it perfectly right.
Portal, Dad. Come. We don't have time. Dad. Come. We don't have time.
Now there you go. Now you have much more of a feeling of, well, this has been my headache personally. Thanks a million. Of course, no problem at all. So this is how you put together scenes. You want to have a little bit of an overlapping sound. You want to have a little bit of cut the shots that feel too long, that feel like they're dragging out a little too much.
This is the portal, Dad. Come. We don't have time. The cure was never to cure a disease, Dad.
Exactly.
It was to...
Exactly. And let's say if you have and if you have music on top of it, or doesn't need to be music, but let's say a humming sound, a sound of an apartment. Let's say here in this case it's the steps, but it could be anything that carries over from one scene to the other. Then you have an even more seamless transition, and we're gonna do it here. Let's just
Come. We don't have time. The cure...
there you go. That's all you need in order to create seamless transitions.
You are here. What is this place?
This is the portal, Dad. Come. We don't have time. The cure was never to cure a disease, Dad. It was to cure time. To overcome time, Dad.
I don't understand, Hannah.
Let me show you.
There you go. All right, guys. That's it. That's it for this week. Any questions? How do I translate? I try to, uh, for you to translate, you have to know the terms. The more terms you know, the better it is. Because it's really hard. Sometimes you just want to say, like, oh, I love that angle when the camera's like, what you order versus what you get. Oh, this, like, damn. That is true. That is really true. No, the more terms you know, the better it is. And that's why you still got to do your homework because AI understands words. If you don't have words, if you don't have the vocabulary, how are you going to communicate with it? You have to study. So you have to know your terms. The more terms you know, the easier this process is going to be. And that's why, again, Shutdeck is such a good tool. Watching movies, talking to ChatGPT, talking to Claude, asking, I love this scene. What camera movement was used here? I love this transition sound. What is this? And then you're gonna get more knowledgeable with the terms because the terms really make or break, or can make you take an hour on something that could have been 1 minute. Talk to other filmmakers. There you go. Watching classes, watching tutorials, like though all these things are extremely important. So that's why I've always tried to tell people, like, AI will not do the job for you. AI will not do the job for you, and it will never be able to, because humans, the way that our brain work and how communication works, we inherently have to earn, we have to learn and earn that knowledge in order to even begin communicating what you want to. Bugging rough all the time. Like, you don't bug enough, man. Cloud is a great for proper context. Yes.
I just also wanted to add that when you use LLMs like Chat and Claude, and in the bottom, like in the fine print, it says AI can make mistakes and everything.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm like kind of hyper fixated on like making sure making like maybe like a
Yeah.
perfectionist, but in
Yeah.
a way you kind of have to, because if you're producing quality and if you are producing a portfolio like for clients and stuff, they want to see like
Yeah.
they don't want you to just produce like anything. So
Right.
I'm very like careful with the stories and stuff, because like you said, like anybody can produce like aesthetic, like that's fine,
Right.
but what is the story? Like what is so unique about it? Like have I ever
Right.
seen this before? It may look strange, like it's weird, but at the same time it actually goes together. It falls into
Right.
place.
1,000%. No, 1,000% agree. And that's a great way of thinking about it too. I love the strange factor that you just talked about, and that's something that I've been talking more and more about. The strange factor. I've talked about it actually many times. Uh, there needs to be, everything that's successful. There always is a strange factor to it.
Mhm.
No successful actors are commercially pretty. Why? Because you connect with people through weirdness, just a little bit of a weird thing that you can't really pinpoint, but it's there. So it goes for everything in art, in films and music. The music that goes viral every single time, it's never the best sounding ones. It's always the one that got a little bit of a weird repetitive thing. Um, but also making sure the execution is flawless, because and flawless can be like so many things. Yeah, it can be uh imperfect to like other people, but to you it's the execution that conveys the message, you know. And yeah, and it's a constant search, you guys. Like, for example, this, I could always work more on this.
Mhm.
I could always work more. I can always work less. And there's stages to it. Uh, but it's really like when you get to that stage and you're like, mission accomplished, this is what I wanted people to understand from it. And that's when like you're done, when you feel like you're done.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's it's a lifelong process, and it's just, you gotta have fun with it. You gotta can we have the recording? Yes, absolutely. But I'm gonna be honest, you guys, I might not have recorded this. Let me check the website. uh because I switched over my computer. Oh no, I did record. Yeah, I did record. Nice. It says recording. Nice. I have a question about pre-production. Absolutely. Absolutely, Ahmed. What's your
Yeah,
question?
yeah. I want to ask about the for this movie,
Hmm.
the process before you generate video or music or
Hmm.
producing music. Uh, for example, when you want to make a music for a specific scene,
Right.
the very beginning process of the DNA of the project. I mean, for like, did you go to Suno Direct and you make like you writing a prompt of the scene that you want, or
Hmm.
you build a DNA, a music DNA based
Yeah.
in the visual music, sorry, based in visual DNA. I mean, the process before even we go to
Yeah.
generate everything.
Right. So my personal process is I like to walk. I walk for an hour a day. Most days. I don't want to say every single day because I don't have the time, but at least 3 to 4 times a week I walk. When I walk, that's my um like my peace moment. That's when, I get in touch with myself, and it's just like a process where I like to do. And it doesn't need to be a walk, it can be anything that really gets you out of, like, you forget that the world exists, and you just get to be really in touch with yourself. And that's where I listen to my orchestra, or I can listen to like my dark EDM. It's so crazy because I go through so many different stages. Or I can listen to something that's a little bit more fun. It can be something really sad. It really becomes almost like a spiritual kind of ritual, because you're literally that you're just connecting with yourself and what your energy is telling you. And from there, uh, that's where how this concept was born. Um, just with me listening to different music and listening to different sounds, and it really is a process of like observing reality for me, and observing life and observing it. It always is like that. Even the when I do like metamorphosis and the action stuff, I have to go on my walks, and I have to listen to my music, or I have to be in absolute silence and really just like listen to your heart. And that's what I do. From there, I start to listen to other artists, and then I start to dig a little bit deeper in the technicality of it. But the technicality, I really just deal with the technicality as a translation, because art is language. Art and language are very similar. And why do I say that? Because when a painter paints, it's like a person that is speaking. It's a medium that you have in order to express something that is in your brain. And that is what language is. That's why I also consider language also art, like literature, right? Uh, so when you treat it that way, your movies, your visuals, now they're not visuals for the sake of being visuals. Now you are treating it like language. So in order for you to be fluent in a language, what do you do? You listen to other people speak. You mimic people. So when you start having the conception of art, of movies, of directing, of making music, of making anything that's music related, Just the same way, yes, you submerge yourself in the culture. That's extremely important, right? There's no language without culture. There's no art without culture. There's no movies without culture. And what is the meaning of culture here? It's not just clothing. It's not just uh, an accent. It's not just the food. It's the way people think. There are, and a lot of you guys are going to know that, but when you speak different languages, your brain automatically shifts. That's how deep it is. Your brain shifts, the type of jokes shift. There's an indigenous tribe, and I want to say it's Australia, that their directions is all cardinal. So they don't say like go to your left, they say like go to your southeast. So those are things that prove to us that your brain really shifts depending on how you grew up culturally. And when you start approaching your direction the same way, uh, of having that degree, that's when you become a director and not just prompter. And that's the whole premise of everything that I've been trying to teach you guys, and how to go beyond. Because the steps of like learning how to edit, learning how to prompt, learning how to what is a camera angle, all of these things, they're language, right? So you're learning language, but then what you're gonna do with it, what you're going to say, is essentially a manifestation of your thoughts and feelings translated into art, into language, into visuals, into music, etc., etc. uh so yeah, long story short, that's how I treat it. That's how I go about things. That's how I go with anything that you guys see me doing. That's how I treat it. It is a translation of thoughts and feelings, and I use art, and I use music, um, visuals, camera angles, all of that cinematic stuff that I've been talking about for like the past year. Um, they're just translation of my thoughts and feelings. That's it.
Okay,
Also,
Rafa,
feel huh?
and the transition between this period and then when you go to the AI. I mean, did after
Mhm.
you walk and you having this idea and the DNA,
Right.
did you go, for example, and talk with AI about it and how you build the
Yes.
DNA of the project?
Yes.
You understand what I mean?
Yes. Yes. I did. Yes, I did. So the ritual after that idealization, then I start talking to AI about it. And lately, for the past week or so, I've been liking to use the microphone a lot. So I go and I talk about it. So what do I talk about? Hey, um, I wanna make a story about a dad and a girl, and then I start with the feelings that I want to convey, and then I start talking about, because now you're writing the project, and then I really go deep into that search of what it is, because a lot of the stages they're still like trying to figure out what the feelings are. And throughout this process, it's not a process of like, at least for me, many people they'll have different ways of approaching things, but for me, it's always a process of building as I go. It's an organic process rather than having everything figured out and then go into the AI and having it ready to go. So what I like to do is I like to talk about it. I like to voice. And after I have that structure, I watch something else. I talk to other people. I watch other movies. I read different things. I get inspirations, and it's not only inspirations, but it's almost like revelations of like this is the direction you should go towards. And then I start adding to the concept. Well, I actually wanted to do like a daughter and a dad, but you know what? I actually want to make it sci-fi. How will I make it sci-fi without being, the metamorphosis stuff? Oh, maybe he can have a little robot. And that also solves the problem of like somebody that can guide the dad through his journey, because he's going to be too involved to even see that his daughter needs him. So so you start looking for elements and start answering questions as you go, and the project evolves that way until you have a formed idea, but it's not like a perfect I'm gonna sit down here and I'm gonna generate the prompts because I have this idea. I mean, we could do that. Anybody can do that, but at least for me, in my experience, when I do that, the project becomes a lot more limited. And as you watch, as you see, as you have feelings, it's normal to want to change. It's normal to want to evolve the thought that you had before. So it's a very organic process for me. And then I talk to the AI, it develops the story, I try, I watch the visuals, something is missing. Let's add this. I go back, watch other stuff. Okay, now I know what I want here. And so on and so forth. So that can extend the process, but that also makes it very true, very truthful. Also, Rafa, with music and sound, if you want to transition from an emotional music to say metal music and go back, for example, to a fire action scene, how do you go about it in editing? You go about it with transition sounds. Those can be whooshes, those could be impact sounds like I showed, those could be risers, and you can also do and I'm gonna show you live, okay? Because this is very exciting to me, and this is something that I like to do a lot. I like to transition a lot from different feelings. Uh, why? Because that's how you build real scenes. So let's go back to Suno, and let's grab one. If I go to create library, playlists, and then I have the let's say this one. No, none of those are what I'm looking for. Let's see. Progressive. Okay, let's take this one for example. So let's take those two as an example. Very different sounds. So how would I go about transitioning to something super slow to something super high power? First, we'll put them in the timeline, and then we're gonna find some transition. So if I go to 11 Labs sound effects, here I have some stuff that I can always share with you guys. Let's see. Okay, so this is a standard whoosh. Okay, this is another good one. Okay, so we'll start with that, and then we'll start with the slower one. So here's where we're gonna begin the transition, and then we're gonna go into this. Listen, this is not going to be perfect because transitions do take time, but you're going to get the concept and then you're going to refine it. Okay. Cool. So it's going to start where the guy's saying something. Okay. So, this transition is a little too loud. We're going to stop it right here. Okay. So now we're going to match the beat. And you can see the beat here. And we're going to match it right here. Okay. Now that we match the beat, we're going to extend this and then we're going to do something that's called a low pass. Effect controls. Okay, effects. Now we're going to do a low pass filter. When I say match, what I mean is you see how here on the song I have this snare that's going ta 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 ta, and you can see it on the graph here. So I am matching that hit, that snare to the snare here, but not of the whole thing, just of the last one, just on the very last, because they're different tempos, so they're not gonna match. But just on the last one. And now I'm gonna drag and drop this effect that is called low pass. So I'll go to effects, low pass, and then I just drag and drop to my song. And then I'm gonna click the song, and now I'm on effect controls. In effect controls, I'm going to set the cutoff a little lower. So let's say like 350, 300 is fine. And I am putting a keyframe here, which means that in this point in time, it'll be 300. But when it comes here, this will be the maximum, which is this random number. But I'm just, and what does this effect does to it? So it muffles. So you see how it's muffled? Did you guys hear that? That it went from being muffled and not muffled? I'm gonna play it again. Okay, so that's the first step of our transition. Cool. Now, the second step is to add the sound that we just put there. Did you guys hear that? Nice. So that is step number one. So now I want to bring that song and I want to transition into this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a good spot. So I'm gonna mute that track, the high energy one. So now what I want to do is I want to find the sweet spot to also add the low pass that I did. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click this little box and I'm going to fade it. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I don't want my entire sound to be muffled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to effect controls and I just want it to be muffled at the end. So I'm going to put the little keyframe here and then Over here, I'm going to set it to maximum, which means it's not going to be muffled, and then it's going to transition to be muffled. And here can make it even more muffled. Let's say the lower you go, the more muffled it gets. So let's say 250. Okay. Now let's make this transition a little smoother. This two, I'm gonna bring them together so it's a faster drop. Okay. Let's actually make those a little bit apart from each other. And let's listen to this. No. It needs to be a little further. Okay, now it's a little bit more seamless. Now let's see how both of them are working at the same time. There you go. There you go. That's how you do it. You so what did I do here? The one thing that especially in music is very strong is the higher frequencies. That's why we use a low pass. What does a low pass do? It cuts off the higher frequencies. What are the higher frequencies? Those are the sounds that are going to be very annoying, but they're very easy to remember. It's going to be your high pitched sounds. So when you use a low pass in order to transition, everything sounds muffled. Everything sounds like just like a muffled, like lower tone. And the higher frequencies, they're very easy to identify. The lower tones, they get a little bit more uh, uh, um, harder to interpret. Let's put it like that. Harder to understand a little bit. So when you use that with a layer of a transition sound, which could have been anything, could have been another one, and it could have been this one. To add to it, let's see. So I just added this one another transition sound here. You see, if I were to use just this other transition sound that I put here at the bottom, could also work. So that's how you do it. And then you can go back to being muffled if you wanted to. You know what I mean? You you can go and then you want to transition back to being muffled, that's completely fine. Now it's muffled again. I use that a lot on episode 2 of Metamorphosis. If you guys noticed that, I use that a lot. Yep, the nightclub. So if you go over to the Metamorphosis 2 episode, This is what I did. Well, I did that in a lot of here. It's muffled.
Yeah. City never. Look at you, standing out here like you pay rent. I pay enough. Don't start counting. You still doing what we said? Unless you got soft. Soft Grams being sick. You
And I did that over here. You guys can hear that very clearly. For muffled, I went to effects, Matrix. Yeah. Oh man, I fucking love Matrix. Effects and low pass. You can also do a high pass, which the high pass means that you will maintain the higher frequencies and you will cancel, you will erase the lower frequencies. And it also has a nice um, uh, a feeling of a radio when you hear the radio voice. That's closer to a high pass.
No, sir. The cure.
So if I go and do a high pass here,
No, sir. The cure.
you guys hear that? I just did a high pass on his voice.
No, sir. The cure.
And then before,
No, sir. The cure.
so that's what a high pass does. Those are the little things you pick up as you go. And it's a lot of information, you guys. We have to keep going. We have to keep asking questions, because this is really, those 20 years of editing and doing this that I'm passing on to you guys. Um, and there's just so many things that obviously there's always like another layer, that can just be taught in one class. I wish we could, but it's not like that. So that's why a lot of people, when they're anxious and they're like, oh, what's the one thing that I got to do in order to solve all of my problems? Well, let's sit and have a chat. Rafa, what do you think? Can make a list of most needed and most used effects. I'm learning a lot, but there's so much in there. Yeah. Honestly, and it's the yeah, it's the million things that to do. Uh, but honestly, Luis, that feeling is always gonna be there. I feel like this all every day. There's just so much that I need to learn. Like, let me. So it does come from organization. It does come from you building your library. Because you, as you develop your style as a director, you will see that there are things that you like to use more than other people do. So it's a matter of now you starting to also uh, curate for each project for yourself, as you know your library of sound effects and everything. But I can still make a list for sure. I can still make, actually, even better, I'll share with you guys all of these sounds that I have, for transitions. That's a lot of already a lot of help when it comes to the effects. uh this will take me a little bit more time, but I can work on a preset for audio for sure. And Gary knows a lot what I'm talking about, because Gary is has been working in the industry for even longer than I have. Um, so he understands that and we were just literally talking about it before you guys hopped into the live. It really is a lifelong experience, guys. you're in it for the long term. It's actually crazy.
I was telling my wife, I was like, oh, I should have been like a psychologist or something different. You know what I mean? It's just like it's such a but I can't
Oh
do
my
anything.
god.
I can't do anything else. You know what I mean? I said that's all I care about. You know?
No, I've had the same talk, and it's like, man, I just want a 9 to 5 at this point.
Yeah, dude. Tell me about
I
it.
just want a 9 to 5. No, but it's well, for first off, for me, it's the same thing. I couldn't do anything else, so I tried. God knows I tried. um, but this is what keeps me going, and if you're blessed and cursed with that at the same time, you just have to be in it for the ride. But yeah, I can definitely work on something that's a little preset. It will take me a little bit of time because there is, like you said, so much that we can do, but that's definitely something that we can get done within the next couple of weeks.
Just one more thing I wanted to add. I know you mentioned about the algorithm and aesthetic, and I can't help it. I mean, I hope the algorithm doesn't penalize me, but I do plan on transitioning some from certain aesthetics. Um,
Yeah.
just because I really want to put this idea or a couple of ideas into
Hmm.
fruition and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but eventually I'm gonna work on something that I guess the audience is gonna really rave about eventually, but I just want to put it out there.
No, but I don't think you should beat yourself or think that that's an issue. What I mean by that, and even picking your thing doesn't have to be an aesthetic. And the last live, I don't know if you were here, but I was showing some different profiles, and I was like, these people, they actually every single post is different, but that's their thing too. um you can be like, you can choose an element that is not aesthetic, that can be just the type of story that you like to tell. Maybe it's
Mhm,
like you like to do products, I don't know. It doesn't have to be like so limiting. You can pick something, or it can just be the fact that it's you, like there's your face in it somewhere somehow.
mhm,
um but as long as you develop something where it's like, oh, it's always going to be like 5 seconds, oh, it's always going to be 30 seconds, oh, it's always going to be, at least for a period of time, where people can get a sense of a sense of like, I am watching this page for a reason. And because now more than ever, socials, they belong to the people who are the most creative. So let's start more and more forgetting about the uh oh, what's the hook, what's the social, you know, template for my videos, and how should I do videos. No, now more than ever, people are craving original content, original ideas, that they have never seen before, because they're always looking for the next thing that they've never seen. And something that, it's, if it's from that creator, oh, now I know that you're going to do an episode on this, and then you build like a mini series. But then once you're done with that, you can create another series. Just because the algorithm is favoring that kind of stuff right now, and has switched a lot. So you can jump into your series and each one of them can be a different aesthetic, but you're clear about what's the goal here, and people buy into, because it's easier. Social media now is less of um, a one hit wonder,
mhm,
and more of building people, building an audience that is used to, let's say, 9 a.m. on Tuesdays. I'm gonna watch your content, because it's been very like, almost like a little ritual that I do. Like in the morning, I watch your content. So social media has been very like catering towards that, to build routines and to build a pattern of watching with that creator. So that's what I mean by it. But you don't have to like limit yourself to think that like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this in a certain way, certain thing, it's not gonna work because I'm not. being repetitive or I'm not following the trend. No, it's actually the other way around. You have to build something where it's very original, but you want to do it in a certain frequency, in a certain way where you can build an audience off of it, because now what's being rewarded is consistency in a manner that people have a little ritual with you, if you will. So every night before I go to bed, I like to watch my favorite people like Z. And you're gonna start noticing too that in different times of the day, different habits, you're gonna see different creators. uh and we don't do that consciously. It's just because the algorithm is pushing, like now it's pushing that creator because it's their time of the day, because they're funnier and people like to watch stuff, funny stuff, when they come back from work, not when they're at work. Or it could be different. People like to watch funny stuff when they're at work, you know what I mean? um so that's kind of like how social media has been shifting.
I see.
Thank you so much, you guys. I really gotta go. I love talking to you guys. It's always so helpful. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you so much, you guys, for being part of it. Angeline, Gary, Isaac, Luis, Steph, you guys are always like doing your best to be here. And I thank you so, so much for your time. Yeah, guys, thank you. Of course. See you guys. I'll just leave Metamorphosis playing now. I just opened so many tabs. I have no idea where's Calissa. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.